Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Sean Sweeney. I am the Director of Education and Special Programs at the Center for Nonprofit Advancement. We're super excited to have recently wrapped up our 2021 Excel Award process, Excel standing for Excellence in Chief Executive Leadership. We are so excited to have our three finalists this year, our winner, Kube Ngaje, and our honorable mentions, Lisa Wetzel and Mark Chalfant, who you will meet again in a second. The purpose of these videos is to really, talk about the best practices that we pulled out of this year's process. All three of our finalists are incredible resources, and we want to make sure, we had some shareable content for the nonprofit sector. So we're excited to have three videos. This one will be about empowering staff, and our other two are working with your board and coalition building. So for now, I will hand things over to Ian Schuman with GRF, the award sponsor.
Thank you, Sean. My name is Ian Schuman, partner in outsourced accounting at GRF CPAs and Advisors. GRF is actually amazing to me. We're one of the 200 top firms in the country, but most importantly, we are independently owned and local to the DC area. So we're part of this nonprofit community, and we feel that our values should reflect those of that community. A big part of that is our sponsorship of this award, which we've done since 2007. I saw that, so that's great. I have two roles today. Mostly this is a listen and learn experience for me, which is great. So it's a nice afternoon. But my first role, I have to thank everybody involved in the process, the center staff, the selection committee that worked so hard on it, and all of the applicants. I'm also introducing our three panelists, I'll say. And I don't think I gave you titles last time, so I will say that Kube Ngaje is the president and CEO from District Alliance for Safe Housing. Lisa Wetzel is the executive director of Bright Paths, and Mark Chalfant is the executive director and artistic director at Washington Improv Theater. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you, Ian. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right in. Again, this video is on empowering staff. So I'm wondering if each of you can kind of talk us through, tell us a little bit about the makeup of your teams, how many people on staff, different teams, different departments, just kind of walk us through how that looks at your organizations. Lisa, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So I've been with Bright Paths for 17 years, and when I started, we were 3. And so now we are 22. So we've grown a lot, and I've actually grown a lot and learned a lot over the years. But for the longest time, our organizational chart was very lateral. And as we continue to grow, I needed to build in different layers. And so that's been really interesting to see that evolution. So we have, myself, and then a director level of 5 or 6 directors, and then we have managers underneath that, and then we have supporting staff. And so that has been that's been working really well. And so it's broken down into development, and then programs, and then general operations.
Great, thanks, Lisa. Mark, do you want to go ahead next?
Sure. When it comes to like professional full-time staff, we are a lean, mean team right now of 5 people. We actually shed 2 people over the last year, partially due to COVID, partially due to just the fact that some of our programming activities have just been so low that people moved on to other job opportunities. But the thing to know about Washington Improv Theater is we're also sort of an ocean-sized community of volunteers. So although there are maybe 5 people doing, work 9 to 5, there are a lot of other people making all the programming happen.
Got it. Thank you, Mark. And Kube, over to you.
All right. So like Lisa, I've been a Dash for some time now. Well, I've been a Dash for 4 years, a little less than Lisa's been at Bright Paths. But like her, we've also grown significantly in that time frame. So in the last 4 years, Dash has more than doubled in size. Our workforce now comprises of approximately 40 staff, and we also have a large contingency of volunteers who support the work that we do, and some consultants that we work with on a regular basis to help sort of build out the organization's operational support arms. We are our organizational structure, I always tell folks, is a little bit of an inverted triangle in that, our front line is really where the mission happens. And so they are the last stop between who we say we are and who we are. And every position in the organization thereafter is there to make sure that our front line has what it needs to be able to execute our mission. As the organization has grown, we've built out several parts of our departments. We had primarily been heavily focused on program, and that is still the case, but we've since built out our development department, development and communications department, our finance department, our people and culture department. So I've got a C-suite of chief positions that each oversee a particular department. And then we've got senior directors. We've been very intentional of building in several layers of leadership within the organization so that there is a built-in succession plan for multiple roles, and also intentional opportunities for staff to grow in their career paths should they choose to. And our staff consists of folks who've been with the organization from its inception in 2006 to approximately 10 new employees that we've welcomed in the last year. And we're looking to welcome an additional 10 more. So y'all pray for me in this recruiting atmosphere. It's the recruiting field is quite competitive at the moment, but we're really, really proud of our staffing composition. We approximately, have majority female, which tends to be the case in direct services, but we're also really growing our male workforce, and we've got primarily people of color who are or parts of the organization serving predominantly people of color, and that is also reflective on our board.
Great, thanks so much, Kube. So next question, talking about empowering staff as a topic overall, I think a lot of it has to do with, giving your employees some sort of sense of autonomy over their own work. So talking about that, how do you get to a place where you feel confident handing over autonomy to your staff like that? And then is it through, recruiting like Kube just mentioned? Is it through the hiring, check-ins? And what about, maybe potentially investment in professional development, so their skills are up to snuff? What are your thoughts on that? Mark, if you want to kick us off.
Sure. Well, so I started as the lone staff person at Washington Improv Theater. It had been an all-volunteer organization before that. So with each hire, there's just been this incredible sense of relief, like, thank God you're here, and so whatever they do is so appreciated, because it originally it was coming off my plate, and I didn't care if it got messed up 5 times. I was just like, hey, you're trying. I was probably going to mess it up 5 times too. So we're going to get there. Just keep at it. But I think, one luxury you have when you work in the arts is that no one's going to die if you do this project a little bit wrong. And the stakes are somewhat low. Oh, somebody got a little bit less joy out of that workshop than we wanted. I can live with that as a result. So there's a lot more room we can give people to try things, and we can just give them the responsibility and watch and see how they do and check in with them. So that's sort of our go-to model, is trust first, give them the job, see how they do. If they want to do it, let them. And then just sort of see how we can coach them along if they're running into problems. We found that people are capable of a lot more sometimes than you might guess if you just sort of step back and give them freedom to make choices the way they want to, instead of how maybe you might make them.
Great, thank you, Mark. Kube, if you want to go next, feel free.
Absolutely. Like Mark, at some point, many nonprofits, each position is wearing 5 different hats at the same time, and so as we've shared that responsibility, it's brought a sense of relief. It's also because of our work that is very high burnout work. We receive and process a lot of trauma, and so we have been doing a lot of redesigning and redefinition of roles. We undertook a massive human capital initiative about 2 years ago, where we took several steps back and looked at every single position in the organization within the context of, is it truly meeting the needs of the organization? And is it meeting the needs of the people who are doing the work? Are people getting joy from this work? And we worked with a consultant team to help redesign that, to redesign our staffing infrastructure. We welcome 18 new positions after that redesign. But that meant that every single role now is very clearly matched to what the organization needs and what the staff are looking for. And we revisit that every year when we're doing our annual work plans. And so just this year, we just kicked off our fiscal 22 in October. We brought on our senior director roles as an additional layer of leadership, assistant director roles to support directors and then managers. And this has made sure that our staff are actively engaged in that process, that they own the end result, that they come in, they're really coming to feel that their roles and their titles are a true match of the work that's being done. So as an example, we had advocate positions before, and we rebranded that position, not just in title, but in intent, from an advocate to community coach and resident navigators, so that it reflected the true work of what was being done. Our staff are really encouraged to actively engage with partners. They really design and deliver the teachings of what DASH does. We updated our service delivery model based on staff input to make sure that there's an understanding in the field that we work in of what DASH does and what we don't do, and also how we can work together with partners to do our work more efficiently. We do encourage our staff to undertake professional development. We I really believe that a budget is a moral document, and we treat it as such. And so we knew a couple of years ago that we weren't investing in our people the way we wanted to as an organization. And so we were very intentional of really looking at our pay levels and increasing the baseline from our starting positions by, I think, it went up at least 35%, almost 40%. In making sure that all of our staff were paid a living wage, and also that we brought on a morale and well-being budget. So not just saying self-care, but actually putting a dollar figure to what it means to provide a culture of collective care and taking care of our staff. We also dedicate $1,500 a year to each staff for professional development, and we match that through our professional employment organization to make sure that staff have a plan that they're working towards for their professional growth that benefits the organization and also benefits them.
Great, thank you, Kube. Lisa, over to you.
Well, I can see why you won. That's awesome. Really, that's just very impressive. Yeah, so I think, we try to incorporate some of those same things that both Mark and Kube have talked about. We have a professional development budget. I think that's an important message to send to staff. And I think, when we're talking about autonomy for staff members, I think that what I have found is that you set clear goals from the very beginning, and you've got a job description, and you sort of lay out the expectation that we're at BrightPaths, we hire people that are resourceful, take initiative, and if you are accomplishing your goals, then you will see autonomy in your program area. And that really resonates with people. And so that means that me as a leader, I've got to be able to model, having a strong work ethic and being conscientious and transparent and showing humility. And when they see that from me, then I think that builds a lot of trust. And so I can expect that of them. And that synergy, I think, feels very empowering for staff. And so, holding people accountable to their goals, I think is another piece that as a leader, we have to be really mindful of when we see a staff person that doesn't have the skill set to be good at their job. And sometimes that means that we need to change the job descriptions, switch people around into a better fit for their skill set. But sometimes it means having someone let go from the organization. And I think if those things aren't addressed in a timely manner, I think it's demoralizing for the rest of the staff. And so when we are addressing those things, it feels like, okay, we're all a team. Everybody's carrying their weight, um, and I want to work hard to do my best job. I think that having, having a lot of at Bright Paths anyway, we have a lot of overlap with programs, services for the same client. And so it's really important that we have a lot of opportunities for communication and collaboration among staff, and then having that respect for each other's program area. Like Kubi was talking about, we have we revisit job descriptions every year. We revisit standard operating procedures every year so that everybody's clear on what their role is in making the program successful. And I think that builds that sort of trust, and people want to have that room to to try new things. And that was another point I wanted to make about the fact that, I, as a leader, I'm not always going to have the best idea. Sometimes the best ideas come from, other staff members, and being open to that, and always putting the client's, needs in the forefront of how we're making our decisions. And I think that resonates with staff too. And when we're taking on an idea that came from, a lower level staff person, wow, that feels really good, because, they feel valued, they feel heard, they feel like they're a part of the team. And I think that's, and that builds that sort of synergy, like we are all in this together to do the best that we can for our clients.
Great, thanks so much, Lisa. This next question, I think, could be a little open-ended, so feel free to give as much detail as you want. But really, just kind of talk us through, maybe on like a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. Like, what do you, as executive directors and CEOs, what do you do to make your staff feel empowered? Like, what are other things that maybe other nonprofit executives can do to help make their staffs feel more empowered in their jobs? Kube, if you want to start off that one, actually.
Yes. Well, we have a program called our Empowerment Project, and I mentioned in the previous video that one of the metrics for us is feeling empowered, and so for survivors and our staff, in order to help a survivor get to true empowerment, our staff have to feel empowered themselves, and so on a daily, weekly, monthly basis or yearly basis, I think it's individual actions that add up to a collective. So on a daily basis, whether it's, stopping by and listening, we have an incredible team, and our building liaisons, who are really the face and voice of our Cornerstone building, which is the largest one for survivors in the district. It just warms my heart to be able to stop by every morning when I come to the office. COVID hit, we never stopped. So I can say, since COVID, I've worked at home now, but I've worked from home the equivalent of maybe a month all put together. And so just being able to stop by and have a personal conversation of how are you doing, what's going on, and so that level of access where they feel comfortable and know, not just feel, but they know that if anything came up, they have direct access to anybody in the organization to be able to pose a question or stop me in the hallway and say, you know what, Kube, I have a problem with this, or today I feel really, really happy about XYZ. So that's a daily practice. We have a weekly one-on-ones, typically with anybody who's a manager of people, does weekly check-ins with their team members. And so that kind of acts, especially in COVID, was really important so that people knew that they could bring things up. For team members, we held weekly huddles to just check in, and we had a standard agenda of, how are you doing, pluses, deltas, anything your team members can support you on. And that got us through the darkest times of COVID when, we were the first organization, domestic violence organization, that had a positive case. And we were like, what do we do? How do we, not create an outbreak in our building? And then on a yearly basis, I had mentioned that our budget is a moral document. It took us time. My very first week at Dash, I mentioned our budget, and everybody thought they were going to get fired. And I was like, we've got some work to do. We have to get comfortable talking about money. And so fast forward to where we are today, and I'm so proud that our current budget was informed by every single team member in the organization. We held listening sessions. They created it from the ground up and said, this is what I want to be able to deliver. Our program managers, our program directors, created their work plans. And then our finance team, turned that into a budget that is really reflective of where the organization is and where we want to go, and the people who are delivering the work. I can say without a doubt that document is a moral document that is designed by every team member in the organization. It's one of the things I am most proud of. It took us years to accomplish, but it means that moving forward, that's how we move, right? And that's power, right? Like, that is the ultimate level of power, to be able to say, I designed how we will implement our mission, and that every team member can say that, from our liaisons all the way up to myself and to the board.
Yeah, that is awesome, Kube. Thanks so much for sharing that. Next, let's go to Lisa.
Yeah, we do the same. We build the budget from the bottom up. So every program manager gets their area and puts in their wish lists, and we go from there, and then go through the steps and approved by the board eventually. But I think that that's a really empowering opportunity for staff. So we've got standing meetings. We have our standing monthly meeting. And then we have, I've got standing check-ins with some senior staff. And then we have, senior staff having regular check-ins with, other program managers and so on. And I think that those are opportunities to talk about those challenges and, and important tasks and goals and that sort of thing. I think that when I'm seeing that people are, achieving their goals, meeting their grant outcomes, and doing all of those things, following through, that is an important message to me, that I can back off a little bit, and or I can back off, not just a little bit, but I can back off and let them run with their program, give them a little bit more runway to try new things and to really handle things. But those check-ins are a way for me to be able to monitor that. And what else was I gonna say about that? I think that's about it. Maybe I'll jump in a minute.
Great, sounds good. Mark, over to you.
Sure. I think with the fundamental thing that we've worked on is having a culture of trust. So we're an arts organization. We try and enjoy all the benefits of that. It means our schedules are bananas. And because of that, like, I'm not interested in timesheets and counting minutes spent on things. Like, we're focused on the results of getting our programming done and making sure it's done excellently. And as long as that's happening, I don't care when people are doing their admin parts of their jobs, so there's a lot of flexibility built into everybody's lives because of that. I think also in the sort of one-on-one meetings that we have, it's really the person who's reporting up, who's defining the agenda, setting their goals, and really asking for whatever assistance they need. So when somebody's in a meeting with me, my main question for them is, what can I do to serve you? What can I do to help you achieve your objectives? It's not about me piling on more to-dos on their list. And I think that has created a culture where everybody is that much more attentive to like, oh, this thing is happening, I better put that on the list, right? Because no one else is doing that for you. You don't have a babysitter. Like you sort of own your sphere of work in a way that is, once you're used to it, it's really comfortable for people.
Great,
Yeah,
thanks so much. Oh, go ahead, Lisa.
I was just going to say that I think in every organization is different. I mean, the fact that Kobe's is much larger. I'm sort of in the middle, and Mark, yours is very small. So I mean, there's I guess just different approaches to making it work for each nonprofit.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. And Lisa, that's one thing that's so great about being able to have all three of you on these videos too, is that it's just giving such different perspectives. So thank you again for being here, I guess. Well, that actually wraps up our video. Thank you all again for watching. Kube, Lisa, Mark, and Ian, thank you so much for being a part of it. And everyone, remember to keep an eye out for our other 2 videos on coalition building and working with your board. Thank you all so much for joining. We'll see you next time.